Hey everyone, it's Trishna and it's time for another collective reading. So today we're going to be using the Light Seers Tarot deck by Chris Ann. And we may also be using one of these two decks as well. And we are just going to go ahead and get into it. All right. I feel a sense of hope, a sense of happiness, but it feels on the lighter side. Like it's not so much about the hope and happiness that wants to come through. But it feels like a whole new world has the opportunity of opening itself up to you. And you're just on that edge, just on that brink of current world and new world. And so you're not fully in this new world yet. You haven't even really crossed over. But you're noticing that it exists. You're noticing that it's there. You're sensing possibilities. And there is this aspect of needing to work something out within the self, needing to explore the self, needing to understand the self, and wanting to do that so that when you do step into this new world, into these new possibilities, all of you does cross over the threshold, that you are very aligned and centered within yourself, that you are very aware and self-aware, and that you are appropriately equipped for the journey ahead. And I think this is good. I think it's good for us to pre-plan like this, not only in terms of the physical actions and the physical action plans with to-do lists and priorities and goals, but to also plan on that internal spiritual level as well, to make sure that we're not just aligned and ready from the mental perspective of what are the action steps that I'm going to take and what am I going to focus on, but that we are also emotionally there with those steps as well. Because when we move forward with all of ourselves, that's when we're able to finish projects. If you've had a hard time finishing things that you start, it might be because only certain aspects of you are involved in that forward momentum and other aspects of you are not really along for the ride just yet. And a lot of times if you've been looking for your passion, as an example, and then you wonder why your passion fades, and then you find a new passion, and then you wonder why that fades, and then you look back and you notice that there are all these different things that you started. Well, number one, if you want to understand the really deep reason for why that is, the full understanding for why that is, I recommend that you join my Light Codes activation course because we talk about that in depth and we also heal that. But for the purposes of this reading, the reason for that is because not all aspects of you are on board. Maybe you were interested in a passion because you saw that somebody else was interested in that passion, or you saw that somebody else was successful in it, or you saw somebody else doing it. Maybe you saw it in person, maybe you saw it on Instagram or some other social media, and you thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I could do that? That looks fun. What if that could be my life? And so you were interested in it from a mental perspective, maybe from a more initial lustful perspective energy, and you're like, yeah, I want some of that. And it's good to go on those paths because then we get to try on different hats. We learn a lot of different skills. And maybe after doing that for a little while, we get confused and we think, did I just waste my time going after all these things that I don't finish or I don't know where to take anymore? Was that just a waste of all this time? The answer is no, because we're always learning something. We're always gaining something, no matter what it is that we do and no matter where it is that what we do lands. If we finish it and continue on with it, awesome. If we don't, we still got something out of it that just might not be obvious what you got out of it just yet. But if you would like to move forward and finish things or feel more fulfilled at the end and not as empty, then make sure that you are going about things with all of yourselves. And I feel like that is what you're really wanting to do this time. There are these opportunities and you're really wanting to make sure that you're not just mentally excited about it, you're not just externally excited about it, but that you are also internally excited about it, internally committed, internally fulfilled, internally all in. So I feel like this is a good approach. And I feel like it's also important to talk about the difference in approaches. When we think about the physical realm and how we're going to plan and prepare ourselves, we usually do that in a more linear fashion. We know that we might do it by looking at the end goal. This is what I want to achieve. What do I need to do to achieve that? Okay, I need to do this. What do I need to achieve this? I need to do this. And we may work our way backwards, but we're still operating in a very linear fashion. We may start at the beginning and think, what's next? Okay, then what's next and what's next? Great. That's also a very linear fashion. We might think, okay, what are my 3 goals for the year? These are my 3 goals. Okay, what are the 3 top projects I want to do for this goal? Here they are. Here are the 3 for this, and here are the 3 for this. Okay, what are all the tasks for each of those? Here they are. And it looks like a tree, but every one of those tree branches follows a very linear path to one of the core goals. So when we are thinking about things in the physical realm, it is a very linear process. And sometimes we may try to approach the spiritual realm with that same linear process. And sometimes we may try to approach the physical realm using the more spiritual process, which is usually or not always so linear, not always so straightforward, not always so to the point. So it's just important to recognize the 2 different approaches. I feel that in your energy that you are taking the right approach, that you already understand all of this on an energetic level. So a lot of this explanation is for anybody else who is watching this that's wanting to gain a better understanding, that's maybe not in the same energetic place that you are. But I like listening to other people's readings because I learn a lot conceptually from them as well, even if it's not really my reading. So I suppose that explanation was for those individuals who are just listening in, and also for those individuals who are feeling this and understand it energetically, but maybe wanted to have some terminology around it, or maybe wanted to be able to compartmentalize this discussion, or put into boxes that are easy to comprehend, which is totally fine as well, right? It's because we want to make sure that we're honoring all aspects of ourselves, so not just the external plan, but the internal journey. But then also when we have these conversations, we want to honor the internal journey by putting it into tangible terms that we can understand from our conscious, more external selves. So making sure that we're balancing all aspects. So the internal journey that you're wanting to prepare yourself with is one that is exploratory. It is the exploration. That's entirely what it is. It's about understanding the energies. It's about opening ourselves up. It's about going where the energy wants to take us. So if we think about this reading that we're going to be doing here, we can look at it as very linear because we put cards out and sometimes we read them in order, but it's actually not really that much of a linear process. It is, but it isn't, because we can read the cards linearly, but then we can move the cards around to gain even deeper meaning. We can have spreads that are in different orientations, and we can relate the cards to each other. And the discussions kind of sometimes go in circular ways, where what we talk about in the beginning ends up coming around full circle. And there are many layers up and down to this conversation. And of course, we're accessing both the conscious mind when we read cards, but also the subconscious mind. So there's going to be a blend of both. But really, what the cards allow us to do is to use our conscious mind with our subconscious to explore our energy, to open ourselves up to a broader discussion on a topic, so that we can be aware of any blind spots that we weren't aware of before, so that we can look at new perspectives that maybe we weren't considering before, or that we didn't even know we could have a perspective in that way, and to basically have an exploratory conversation. So whatever internal work that you are doing is going to be of that nature, very exploratory. And the best way to explore is to be very broad and open-minded. When you go out and visit a new location, you may have certain things that you're trying to achieve there. Maybe you're going on a scavenger hunt or something like that. If you go about it that way, that's great. You have a purpose and that's fun, but you often miss a lot of what's going on around you because you're very focused on an end goal. But when you walk in and just have the desire to explore and to be open to whatever wants to appear to you, you notice the trees in the background. You notice the little flower behind all of the other flowers. You notice the birds that are flying by and what kinds they are. You notice the chirping and the sounds that are around you. You notice the breeze, how it just falls perfectly in certain areas on your body that maybe symbolize certain things. And you get really invested in the entire experience. So As you go about preparing for this new journey that is ready to unfold for you, and as you're wanting to explore yourself, be okay with going with whatever flow, and be open to approaching that preparation phase with a very broad perspective. So let's say you are wanting to start a new job, or maybe you're interviewing for one, or maybe you're about to start one. You might at first think, okay, so if I want to prepare internally, I should think about what do I want to achieve in this job? And then I should explore those particular topics. So maybe in this role, I want to make sure that I leave the company in a better place than when I first entered it. Okay, that could be a goal. And then you might want to ask the cards then, how do I do that? Or you might ask, okay, here I'd want to really learn and hone my influencing skills or something like that, my presentation skills. So then you might pull some cards or do some exploration work around that. But remember that you want to approach this broadly first before you go in with specific goals. You want to look at the energy of this role and of your energy in this role or in this company first, and just understand the dynamics, because maybe there's new ideas that you hadn't considered that maybe you would want to grow in. Maybe there's something that this company offers in skill sets that are different from what you originally intended. But if you were to honor those skill sets, you would gain so much more out of it because the energy is already ripe for those skill sets. And same with relationships. You can apply this to any area of your life. Maybe you are entering into a new relationship, or you're interested in someone and it looks like it's moving forward. So you're seeing this new world open up to you and you feel it. And you want to prepare yourself. You could think about, okay, how do I want to make this relationship amazing? I want to leave the person better off than when they first found me. Great. I maybe know that I have certain blocks that have created issues in my previous relationship. So maybe I want to work on those first before I enter into this one. All of that is very important and very good. But first, look into the energy, the dynamics of your energy with their energy and the energy of the relationship itself. Be very broad in that, because there may be certain things, like maybe you don't need to work on your blocks alone. Maybe this person is going to be somebody who helps you with that. And maybe there's going to be certain blocks that they have that you're not aware of, that if you weren't aware of it, you'd be like, oh, this person is being secretive or sneaky, right? But maybe it's just a block. And because you know that, you now know how to approach this person and how to work with their energy and how to provide them with healing as well, to leave them better off than when you first found them, right? Because you might have a different vision for that, but the energy and their energy might help you channel what that would be. So keep the energy and the focus broad, and then you can go into specifics on what you would like consciously. But first, keep yourself open to what energies want to present themselves. What does the relationship or what does the opportunity have to offer you? And what do you have to offer it before you come in with your plans? This kind of reminds me of like when I worked in a particular corporate job. It was a company here in the DFW Metroplex. And basically there was a new CEO that came into the company in the same year that I was working there. And this CEO was somebody who worked at Apple and they worked at Target, and they were very successful there, and they were very good at marketing. And now they were moving into being the CEO of this company that I was working for, which was another marketing oriented, like a retail oriented company, just like Apple is, right? They have Apple stores and they have products that they sell. And this company that I was at was retail. So it was about clothing and selling, retail, but clothing instead of technology. And this person entered this company and hired a bunch of people from Apple, where they were originally working. And they all entered the company and they were all given top positions, whether they were qualified for them or not, but they all came in. There was definitely a lot of nepotism going on. And, maybe that's okay sometimes, right? Maybe somebody is skilled and it's a contact that you have, and that's all good and fine. But the thing that I really took away from that experience was you really need to understand what you're working with before you can come in with your plans. Because after 1 year, that CEO was let go from the company because he kind of ran it to the ground. And in the process, he ended up laying off hundreds, I think thousands of people in that 1 year. And those people are all fine. Okay, a lot of them ended up getting better jobs and getting paid even more than where they currently were. So a lot of them maybe were unhappy at first, but they ended up being very happy. So sometimes we do need that push, right? Spirit gives us a push. So, there's positives and negatives to everything, right? We just got to find the silver linings. But essentially what happened here was the CEO walked into the company assuming that he knew what needed to be done, assuming that he understood the business, assuming that, I'm great at marketing. I've been at Apple. I've worked with Steve Jobs. Like, I know what's what. Like, I'm the best of the best, and I've hired the best of the best, and we know what's what. And they changed everything without first trying to understand what the retail business and space really was about, how the company currently operated. And there was a lot of things about the company that did need to change. They were definitely very old school, not open to change. And so it was really good to have that technology, Apple kind of energy embedded into it. But before you can really embed it, you have to understand the energy of the company, understand the energy of the players, understand the energy of the market, the direction, and see what the opportunities are and how to work with them. And then you can take your plans that you have and you can shape them into the energy that currently exists. So for example, like with the relationship example that I gave you, maybe you want to leave the person better off than when they first found you. Okay, but if you did the energy work first, you may know that they have a particular block that is going to come off sneaky, but it's not sneaky, it's a block, and this is something that you could help heal in them. And so when you understand that, then you can marry up, I want to leave them better off than when I first met them. Now you know exactly how to do that. You're going to be here to heal them in that way. And so you can work with the energy that exists and match your goals to that energy. And if you haven't done that, maybe you would think, oh, I want to leave them better off than when I first met them. I want to push them with, their career. I want to make sure that their career, that they're pushing themselves and that they're becoming successful, when maybe that's not where they are in their journey right now. And if you were to push them in that way, maybe they wouldn't be able to sustain it, because maybe whatever block they have has to deal with confidence, let's say. And if they don't have the confidence, then yeah, maybe you'll be able to get them the job, but can they keep the job? No, because what they really need is that confidence. So we can have our goals, but we want to match them. We want to fit them into the mold of the energy. So that's why it's got to be like both aspects of conscious and conscious happening together, internal and external. So like in this example with this company, if they wanted to change things up and make them present day company, all for it. I think there's a lot of people that would have really appreciated that, especially because they were starting to hire new people even before the CEO joined. So there's a lot of fresh energy that was wanting to express itself. And maybe if the new leadership had understood what the energy was, they could have figured out how to blend their goals in with where the energy of the company is. Now, they didn't have to do a tarot reading for this to understand the energy. You could just, they could have even understood it on a physical level of what's going on in this company. Okay, how does this company currently operate? Okay, what are some changes that people are really looking for? Okay, how do those match with the changes that we want? What are certain sticking points that maybe we shouldn't deal with in the first year? And we wait, when we wait a year while we gain success here, things could have turned out very differently. But instead, what ended up happening was they let go of the new CEO and brought back the old CEO to restore the company. And another example was coming to mind here. Okay, I lost it. So that's where we're gonna go with that. I'm learning a lot myself here, actually, because I can be somebody who goes from one side to the other side, right? Sometimes I'm like super conscious oriented, conscious brain, external world oriented, and sometimes I'm very like spiritual oriented. And combining the two in this way is really powerful, and I feel like gives us very nice direction, right? It allows us to explore, but gives us a linear path forward as well. Okay, let's take a look at the cards here. Interesting. So, Nine of Wands. There is a sense of wariness, actually. I was not really feeling this in the energy. I would not have described it with the Nine of Wands. To me, it was like, yes, not necessarily jumping forward into this new thing that's appearing, but not because of fear, maybe a little bit of hesitation because we want to make sure that we're aligned and that we're ready before we go there, right? Because then we want to make sure that we're putting the most success energy into this new thing. If we start things off in the right way, then new potentials open up to continue that sooner rather than later. So I would not necessarily have used the Nine of Wands. Bottom of the deck is Four of Cups. Interesting. So I just want to, okay. So yeah, important to not be too mentally oriented because that's when we can become very anxious. So anxiety is something that we feel as like a feeling or like as an emotion, but oftentimes it stems from the mind. There's some thought or some fear or some worry that has triggered the feeling of worry, the feeling of fear. So, a new relationship, we think about the new relationship and maybe that's what triggers the fear. We think about the new relationship and maybe how other ones have failed and that's what triggers the fear. So it's the thought that then triggers that feeling. So don't be too cerebral about things. I think the approach that you're taking right now, really wanting to explore the self and the energy, and really wanting to do that internal work, that is the way to go about it. So that is probably why I wasn't feeling this anxiety, this Nine of Wands, is because I think you're taking the right approach, like I was saying before. So if you were to overthink things, then maybe you would start feeling more of the Nine of Wands, on guard, wanting to protect yourself, etc. But you're going about it the right way, so keep that up because that is what it's going to lead you to the Ten of Cups, which is fulfillment, happiness, joy, success, and all the things that you want. Also know that this is something that you have asked for. Probably what we're talking about here, this new opportunity, is something that you've been asking for, you've been praying for, you have been tuning into, you've been trying to get guidance on. And maybe the way that you approached it was, Spirit, give me guidance on how I can make this successful, which is a very linear, external way of thinking about it. And it worked. It certainly helped you. But Spirit is now saying, okay, that's great. We got you to this point. But now let's talk about the overall picture energetically. And then let's talk about how you want to be successful. So we'll understand the energy and then we'll implant success into that energy. So this energy is like the fertile ground. Your intention is a seed and you want to plant it in the right soil with the right fertilizer for that plant, and you want to nurture it with the right amount of water for that plant. And every desire, every situation, every opportunity, every company, every relationship is going to be different and unique because there's different energies that are interplaying. So that's why the success method you use may not be the same in every case. And that's why you want to understand the energy, then implant the success, and that is going to give you a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. There can be a fear around delving into our emotions because sometimes if we delve into our emotions, we can go a little too deep, and we can sink really low, sinking, I suppose. And that's certainly something to be cautious of. You want to make sure that this is a positive experience. If you are exploring yourself and it's really bringing you down, take a break from it because sometimes we need to create space for that darkness to work itself on its own. So it's good to explore and be aware of it, but then let it go and go focus on something else and say, subconscious, hey, could you work on this, heal on this while I go take a break? And then you can come back and you'll have maybe a more up-leveled discussion, or you'll have a new perspective on these feelings that don't make you feel so sad. Four of Swords, needing some rest. Okay, I feel like these two cards go together, even though this was originally bottom of the deck. Four of Cups and Four of Swords. So, I think in the past, if you feel like your opportunities have failed you, whether it's relationship, career, money, something entirely different that I'm not even thinking about, if you feel like it's failed you and you're just like, you know what, yeah, okay, it's great that this opportunity is coming, but sometimes I get down in my emotions and I think, you know what, I tried so hard in the past, but things didn't really work out for me. You're doing something different this time. You're understanding the nature of what's happening. So I'll give you an example. So there's somebody that I dated a little while ago. Well, a long while ago, I suppose now, years ago. Somebody that I dated a long time ago. And before I dated this person, I looked into the energy. And what I saw was that me and this person were not really a good fit. And so when this person asked me out, I was told to say no, and I did. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, well, you know, maybe I want to alter this. I want to change the future regarding this. And so I contacted Spirit again, and they said, you know, this is not one of those things that you should really change. This is something that you should probably just let go of, right? It's not really right for you. And they told me exactly why and how everything was going to play out and what the dynamics were. They said, but if you want to give it a shot, of course, it's up to you. So I gave it a shot. And so I understood the playing field, but I didn't really listen to the guidance. And in the end, everything played out as I saw, for all the same reasons. So was there a loss in that scenario? No, there's something that I gained. Now, after that, I was like, you know what? We're just going to trust things. We've done this too many times. Now I know we're just going to trust the message when I get it. And I did. And I did trust the message. And that's how I met my husband. And that's how I knew he was going to be that person. And so that worked out, right? So that I gained something from not listening. But it's important to understand that you have gained things from your past as well. But understanding the energy is very, very key. And then with the energy, you want to mold the energy. Now, looking back, obviously I would not change a thing because things worked out just so well, right? But let's say you're somebody who has, you know, there's someone you're interested in and the energy's not looking that great and you do want to change it. Pay attention to what's going on in the energy. And so once you understand that, then you know what to change, right? If something's not going to work out because the other person maybe is just never going to respect you, and that's just how the dynamics are going to be, and it's just what it is, then now you understand the energy, and then you can explore that specific area. So if you're going to be changing the energy, you still have to understand the broad concept, the broad context, to know what to even tweak. Because you might think, oh, they're not responding because I'm boring them. Not because they don't respect me, but because I'm boring them. Let me find something exciting for us to do, right? So then you'd be going about it in the wrong way and not really dealing with the root. So understand the broad context because it lets us know where the root of the energy is, and then we can again implant our desires, or then we can shift the energy, but based on the root to begin with. Okay, so bottom of the deck is now the Strength card. It's so interesting because I'm not so sure, like the cards are not really speaking to me in this reading as much. Because Strength is like, okay, I guess this is future energy. This is not current energy. This is future energy. It does require strength to be able to work in this way. It seems like this is the easy way. In some ways it is. When you understand the root and know how to work with the energy, yeah, things move a lot more smoothly. You don't go down paths that you don't need to. And if you're going to go down that path anyways, you understand where the blocks are, and then you know where to focus your healing efforts, your energy efforts, your personal growth efforts, right? Like in the example of maybe you're with somebody who doesn't really respect you and you understand the energy now. Okay, they don't really respect me. And maybe you're like, Spirit, I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to leave them. I want to stay with them. And so then you might explore disrespect and why might you be attached to somebody that you know doesn't really respect you, right? Like what's going on there? What can you heal there in yourself? And maybe what can you heal in the other person? Why do they have this disrespect? You know, what happened to them that created that? What thing in their history, right? So then you can ease that energy and at least have healed the relationship and the self before you move on to whoever you're both supposed to be with. So it does take strength because we don't always want the answer that we get. And then we don't always want to listen to the answer. And a lot of times when we get the answer and it's different from what we want, we're not going to listen to the answer. We're going to play out whatever is going to happen because we can be very attached to the things that we want. So it does take a lot of strength. It can take practice, but I really think if you honor the energy and understand how to work with it and then implant your personal desires into that, then you're going to have a lot of success. A lot of success. And I am going to be doing this myself going forward because I really like this. Seven of Pentacles also came out. So whatever seeds you planted, they are growing and they're going to grow. So whatever this new world is that you're interested in, it's happening. It's going to happen. It's happening. Because right now it might be in the very early stages where you're like, yeah, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm not really necessarily there yet. There's still a process I have to go through. There's still certain trials that I must overcome to get there, right? Like it's not set in stone. I can see it, but it's not set in stone. So whatever it is, it's going to grow. It's going to be successful. You're going to have it. I'm getting something about 2 to 5 weeks or 3 to 5 weeks. I think around 2 to 5 or 3 to 5 weeks, there's going to be a hurdle or an issue that comes up. So I think maybe you will be in the new world. So it will have occurred. It will be official. But then 2 to 5 weeks, there will be an issue that arises. So when that happens, remember this message. Remember that when you look at the issue, don't try to solve it off of the surface level. Maybe the issue is you feel like, oh my goodness, maybe these people don't think that I'm trying hard enough, or they don't think that I'm learning fast enough, or they don't think that I'm interested enough, or whatever it is. Instead of going off of that first, understand the energy. What's going on in the energy? Okay, maybe they're not even mad at me. Maybe someone is stressed and that's just what they're projecting to me and it has nothing to do with me. So then what I can do is I can still show my interest even more because maybe that's what I feel, but also maybe I can do it in a way that doesn't stress them out more. You know, maybe if you didn't know that they were stressed and you thought, oh my goodness, maybe they think I'm not interested enough or not trying hard enough, maybe you would take the approach of reaching out to them, being like, hey, if this is work, hey, like, what else can I do for you? Hey, I'm super interested. You know, like, could you assign me this? Or you know, I'm done with everything. I worked really hard. What else is there? And then you're kind of adding pressure on that person because now they're like, okay, I got to think about this person. I'm already stressed. Already have a lot on my plate. Like, ugh. So you might have gone about it in a way that created more friction because you didn't understand the energy. Whereas you can show that you're interested without stressing the other person out, where maybe you start working with someone else and being like, hey, you know, let me learn what you're doing. And hey, if you need any help, let me offer that help. And that way, you know, maybe your boss is like, oh, look, this person's so interested that they're helping out all these other people and they're not bothering me about it. And, you know, I know this person can take care of themselves. Oh, I can relax. I can be at ease and I can work on the things I need to work on. And then I will catch up with them later and see all that they've learned and what they've liked and if they have any questions at that point. So understanding the energy is so crucial because it gives us the secrets and the keys that we're not always aware of. So you're going to have an issue come up in 3 to 5 weeks or 2 to 5 weeks from now. Now you know how to go about it. Now you know the process that's going to make you successful. That's going to allow you to honor whatever fears that it may bring up in you, but do it in a way that's going to support you. And then I'm getting something about 8 months. 8 months feels like a decision point. So either you're going to realize that maybe you're not in the right place and you don't want to be there, or maybe you're going to have a lot of success because you are in the right place. So for those of you that are like, oh no, I don't want to have to start over in 8 months, assess the energy right now. Assess the energy, what's going on. Does it make sense for me to want to proceed? And if you know in 8 months, yeah, I could kind of see how this would fizzle out in 8 months, honor that. Maybe don't go down that path. If you still want to go down that path, then understand the energy of what you're going to learn during that time period. Understand the energy of the dynamics of the situation. And then make the most of it. You can heal aspects of it or just enhance aspects of it. So you can heal things that like disrespect. I want to make this person more respectful. I want to heal why I'm interested in someone that I know is going to disrespect me. Right? That's healing it. It's kind of like not fixing it, but healing it, trying to smooth it out. Or you can enhance it. Okay, I want to show my interest, but this person's stressed out. So I'm going to show my interest in this particular way. I'm going to enhance this energy of making them feel calmer. Or, okay, so I know this stuff is not going to go my way, but I know this stuff is going to go my way. I'm going to focus on this stuff that I know is going to go my way and therefore enhance the energy. I'm going to let go of the stuff that's not going to go my way. Not even going to go down that path, not going to waste my time, not going to force it. Okay. I'm kind of not feeling like I'm going to be using these other decks actually, but I feel like we're not done with this conversation. I feel like some of you maybe want to know, okay, well, how do I know about the 8 months? Is that me or not? So actually, I feel like we need to reshuffle. I think for most of you, the answer is in 8 months, you'll be really happy, especially if you follow this particular guidance. So I think for, I would say 60, 70% of you, maybe even as high as 80% of you, you're in the clear. Like you're headed in the right direction. Look at that, 10 of Cups again. Yeah, you guys are going to be fulfilled and happy. Keep working with spirit just the way that I told you guys. Headed somewhere new. Learning a lot. So I know a lot of people in the spiritual community talk about lessons, and I think I just have a different way of relating to that word than maybe others. But I think, different ways of looking at the same thing. So I don't believe that the universe is trying to teach us lessons, I suppose. I don't believe that the universe tries to test us. I think that the universe doesn't really have an opinion about us either way. That's why it's really great to work with your higher self or your guides, because they do have an opinion about you either way, and they want you to be successful and they want you to be happy. But as for the universe itself, I think that it's kind of neutral. I think that it's kind of neutral, and I think that it operates off of very simple principles of what you put out there is what you get, not necessarily what you want. You don't always get what you want, but you get what you put out there. And so that's why it's really great to work with our higher selves and our guides, because we can understand what we're putting out there. We can understand that, and then we can work with them to heal those aspects so that we are putting out what we want to put out so that we can get ultimately what we want as well. So I guess with lessons, I don't feel like the universe is trying to teach us lessons, but I do really resonate with the concept of learning lessons and the concept of growing and evolving as a spiritual being. And that often comes through what we experience in the physical and how we relate to that internally. And just trying to improve ourselves. So learn as much as you can. And maybe for you, it's appropriate to think about things in terms of lessons. What is the lesson that I'm learning here? What is this relationship? What is this opportunity trying to teach me? And what is this particular moment in time where I'm on the brink? What is this moment in time trying to teach me? And for some of you who are trying to enter into the new world, I think another exercise for you, especially if you think you might be in that 20% that you're not necessarily going to want to be where you're headed 8 months from now, I would do some work exploring maybe the past year and what are the lessons that I've learned in the past year. And which of those lessons want to come forward in this year? Because I think if you build off of what you've learned, you're always going to head upwards and onwards, right? You're always going to move upwards in the cycle. But if you forget the lessons, then I don't think you always need to relearn them, but sometimes we have to be reminded of them because those lessons are important. They're important parts of how we have grown as a being, as a spiritual entity. How we have evolved, how we've changed. They're part of our journey. And just like with any movie, you learn skills in the beginning of a movie, like a character learns skills in the beginning of the movie that then they use later on. Just like in a video game, you learn certain skills in the beginning of the game so that you can use them later on. So whatever skills you're learning on a spiritual sense are important for you because you will use them later on. So yeah, I think if you approach things in terms of lessons and exploring your past, exploring what you want to bring into the future, I think you will have a new outlook on whatever this new thing is. And I actually think it is that change in outlook that is going to make or break that 8 months. Because you could stay down the same path, but if you have a different outlook, you'll be happy 8 months from now. But if you keep your current outlook, you might not be so happy 8 months from now. So there's something in your mentality or your outlook that I think you need to explore, or that you need to know what you're putting into. Because for some of you, you might really be connected to whatever is just around the corner, whatever is right in front of you. You might really feel fulfilled by whatever it is that you're going after. Maybe relationships make you feel fulfilled, right? You don't need it, but they add something to your life. Whereas some of you may think, yeah, I'm just doing relationships for the sake of relationships because I'm bored, right? So there's something new and it's exciting, but maybe there's a mentality of I do relationships because I'm bored, versus I do relationships because they enhance my life. So understanding what your mentality is and then making sure that it's in a direction that will support you could make all the difference. Yeah, I think this is something to explore, because otherwise I don't think it'll be quite like this. Like, you're not going to be heartbroken, keeping yourself up at night, but you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be as comfortable. And you're going to wish you would change your mentality. Will it be too late in 8 months to change your mentality? No. But no, it won't be too late, but it can be easier now, right? It's easier to fix a problem before the problem even exists than it does to deal with the problem and then get used to the problem and then fight with the problem and then make that part of your energy even more deeply and then have to get rid of all of that. Oh, I don't do reversals. So that's strange. There may be, for some of you, you should not be exploring too many of your options. Some of you may be interested in something but not interested enough to keep going down that path, and so you're exploring other options. If you are exploring a lot of options, this may actually not work out for you in the near future, actually. 2 to 3 months from now, you might not even have to wait 8 months. It might be 2 to 3 months from now when things start to, you and this opportunity decide to part ways. So if you are interested in something or someone and you're only pursuing other opportunities because you don't want to be left holding the bag if this doesn't work out, if that's the only reason, like for example, if you're job hunting and there's something that you're really interested in, but you don't really know how it's going to go, maybe it's taking a little while, so then obviously if you need income, then you should keep applying, even though your interest is in one particular, that's fine. But if you're not really interested in that one in particular and applying because you're not interested in any of them, then your passion, your energy is not directed in any way strong enough for something to really materialize powerfully, at least not in the next 2 to 3 months. If you are doing this kind of like not being very focused kind of energy, I think you will find something in about 3 months, whether it's relationship, career, whatever it is. But I don't think it will meet your specific specifications, like what your soul really wants. So I think something will be missing, something will feel lacking. And you may stick with it, 5 months or maybe a little bit longer, but something will be lacking. So, yeah. If you're not interested in anything in particular, then find something that you are interested in. Right? Keep looking until you are, but don't attach yourself to anything that's present. Focus on something that you're interested in. Abundance is available. I think it will take a little longer than like right now. It may take about 8 months, right? That might be when things really work out for you and it happens abundance-wise. and you think, not only do I feel fulfilled by what's happening in my life, but I'm also reaping the benefits of it in the tangible sense. Like I'm feeling fulfilled inside the internal journey, but I'm also reaping the benefits outside of myself that's helping my external life, and that's amazing. Yeah, definitely put some thought into this if you are of this camp, assessing your options because you're not interested in any particular option, not because you're just trying to safeguard yourself. But for others of you who are focused on something that you really like, this is a soulmate. Whether it is the right opportunity financially or career-wise, or whether it's a person, this is a soulmate. You're going to be very fulfilled. And yeah, so definitely, regardless of what camp you're in, whether you are fulfilled by something right now or you're still searching, understand the energy, right? If you're still searching for something, you're like, okay, well, I think I'm probably in the 20% that's going to be unhappy. Well, now what? Look at the energy, right? Understand the energy, understand what's going on with you, understand what's going on in the landscape, understand the energy, and then work with that, right? Maybe there's something that you're interested in that you haven't thought of. And when you look into the cards, or you look into the energy, or you meditate, or you talk to your guides, you'll get that insight. And maybe it's something that you hadn't considered before. Maybe it's something that you're like, I don't know that I really want to do that. Keep an open mind. Be that explorer for now. And just in being open, opportunities will find you. And then you'll find something that sparks you, because you want that spark. All right, guys. So that is everything that wanted to come through for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this served you. If you're interested in a personal reading, you can find my Etsy link in the description box below. It's also psychicts.etsy.com. You can also access my Light Codes Activation, Spiritual Activation course to uncover, basically it involves understanding your divine mission as a light worker and starseed, connecting to your own personalized divine gifts, understanding why maybe you aren't really hung up on any particular passion, why you switch from one thing to the next, or maybe you have a lot of passions and you don't know how to combine them. It just feels like all these missing puzzle pieces and you don't know how they all fit. The course really talks about all of that, and it also will heal you on very profound levels. You will get many chakra activations, chakra alignments, chakra cleansings, soul activations, aura cleansings, the whole shebang. So if you're interested in that, would love to see you there. And until then, I will catch you in the next one.